package last week, and I've just been having a hard time getting right into it. I finished the fundamental videos last week, so today I'll be considering day one of looking at the day by day. And I guess my question is like, how do you get into that mindset? So like I seen your videos. You said like not to take a cold diagnostic test, but I did, and like I feel like very discouraged like with the score. Like it's horrible. Like, it's horrible. I feel like so like just getting into that mindset. I would really appreciate any tips on that.
Yeah, of course, Henry. Sure thing. I mean, I'm glad you've worked the fundamentals and you've discovered why I don't recommend taking a cold diagnostic because
Yeah.
for that very reason, they can be discouraging. And so what I would simply tell you is my reasons why, again, that like it doesn't reflect your potential, just an indication of where you stand at this moment. And the LSAT is like a foreign language. So of course, a diagnostic in a foreign language is going to show you that you don't have the foundation in that language. You don't know the grammar, the vocabulary, the structure, none of it, right? So you've completed the fundamental section of the course that gives you at least some basic familiarity, but it's simply an overview. The workshops section of the course is where we go deeper into the different question types, walkthroughs of each question of different question types, full length class recordings. And so once you work through that material, you'll have a much better understanding of how to actually approach the problems rather than simply knowing what the problems are.
Yeah, I see like I didn't like there was just a lot of language. So like I watched a video where it was like a sort of a Jeopardy type. I have no idea like any of those answers to those questions. I was just watching them and it just felt like but I feel like I could probably like learn it in the future, like understand what they're saying. Like if I was watching like the logic games intro and then the LR intro and things like that, it started to sort of make sense. So that's why I hope in in a few months to get it down. So like the original plan was to take it in June, but as this the way everything is probably gonna take me. I hope a good month to fund like to build a foundation in order to take it in August. That sounds like the plan.
Yeah, I mean, depends on what your goals are. So let me ask you this. I mean, what's your goal score? And how much are you looking to increase your score? That sort of thing could help us get a sense of how much time you might want to allow.
Yeah, I'm aiming for the 170s. I would like to get a 170. See by well yeah in August I would hope to get it by then.
I mean, it requires a lot of time to achieve your fullest
Yeah.
potential. And so if you're looking for increases of 10, 20 points or more, then you don't want to try and knock this out in just a month or two.
Yeah, most definitely. That's why I allow like hopefully this 5 month period would be like the study guide for the 5 month would be great. How do you know like since I mean I can't judge it off the code test, like how do you know like where you need to like jump from? Is it after your first official practice test, like on the study guide, or I mean on the study on the when you have us take the test? I guess I think it's like 4 weeks down the 6 month plan.
So I
Is
guess
that a
what
good
you're
indicator?
so after you've covered the basics, after you've gone through each section, each question type, and you've worked on them a bit in isolation, then you could take a practice test and get a more realistic sense of where you're at after having gained some level of fluency. So I'd say that might be a good starting point after you've worked through the fundamental section, after you've worked through at least a handful of the workshop videos covering each type. Then you could take what will no longer be a cold diagnostic, but rather simply your first practice test of what will be several practice tests.
Okay.
And then that'll tell you,
Yeah.
okay, well, at least you've gotten a strong foundation, not just the fundamentals, which is like a basic overview, but a strong foundation having spent dozens of hours studying this stuff. Then you take that practice test and you say, okay, well, this is actually a useful measure now because it could tell me where I'm at and where I might be if I took an exam today. That some people might actually do a real practice test a real full official exam at that point, administered by LSAT, which I still wouldn't recommend because it takes 5-6 months to reach your fullest potential. But a practice test at that point will also be useful to help you ID weak areas that you can target in isolation.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. That's what. Yeah, like again, like that. I'm just waiting for. Let's see where when I officially take a full test, like with having all the knowledge of all the sections. Also, since August is, that's also a little bit hesitant to want to take it in August because they're gonna go back to the four sections, like the original one. It doesn't impact any of the way that the study guide is set up, correct?
No, it doesn't change anything. The only thing it changes is that you're going to want to include that extra fourth section, unscored experimental, that you're not going to know the position of. You want to add that into the mix. So instead of doing 3-section practice tests, you want to do 4-section practice tests. And you want that to add the extra section, any of games, reasoning, reading comp, and any position. Could be first, second, third, or fourth. You want to also include a break between sections 2 and 3. And you want to give it your full effort because on test day, you're not going to know. So what you could do is you could take another exam. Let's say you want to take exam number 80, cut it into 4 parts, and insert each of those 4 parts into tests 81, 82, 83, 84. And then later you could tally your results for what 80 might have been had you taken it separately.
Okay, and then see what would be the difference between just time, just to push yourself to do more in the time, because instead of the 3 sections, it will be the 4 sections. Let's see. I have one more question. 1 second. So another question would be, okay, I'm a full-time college student, currently through online classes. How many times a day would you say would you dedicate to studying?
What feels reasonable to you?
Reasonable 3 to 5 hours a day. That's I think 7 days a week, so 3 to 5 hours. How does that sound?
Try it out and see what it's like. I mean, there's a big range there because 3 hours, 7 times 7 days, that's 21 hours.
Yeah.
Versus 7 times 5, 35. Mm-hmm. You might also want to allow days off. And then a day with more classes or more assignments or more deadlines for school, you might want to do less on the LSAT side. And then when college is lighter, do more LSAT, but also use some time for just breaks and taking it easy, especially on a timeline where we're speaking now, early March. You got a good 5 months till test day. Mm-hmm. You don't want to burn out. So full-time LSAT plus full-time college is a lot. I think of it more as full-time college plus part-time LSAT. And then are you taking summer classes also?
No, I'm not. That's what I was hoping to also so from there, when I have more time dedicated, increase the time per day in the summer once classes are done in May. That sounds like a good approach to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So don't stress it now. I mean, do something now, but summertime's when you can really kick it into high gear then. Okay.
And then, so how do I take the most advantage of the Supreme Pack, I guess? So it includes the master class coaching?
Yeah. So definitely attend the live classes. I mean, you have the all access to all the classes plus the group coaching mastermind. So attend everything you can. You may not be able to attend as much now because you're in college. Oh, the classes are at night, so it depends when your classes are. But attend the classes, watch the recordings. You can also submit questions in advance of class, and they can help determine what we cover in class too.
Even if I'm not, because they say they are covering logic, reasoning, and then maybe I'm not up to that in the week, I guess I'm gonna call it a syllabus, but in the week by weeks, is it okay should I still join? Should I still see what other students have to say, even if I have no I guess foundation in approaching let's say logical reasoning?
Yeah, I would still definitely attend. I mean, the classes give you the basics to help you learn enough to benefit.
Okay.
And you could always ask questions on things you're confused about too.
That sounds really good. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I should join the class because I wouldn't even know how to what they're even saying. But maybe if they go over even from the beginning from it, even if because I assume students would want to ask their questions and maybe not focus on the things that they fundamentally know. But they do go over that, correct?
Yeah. So typically the beginning of a class will include some kind of general overview. I mean, I'd say for logical reasoning, it's probably the most useful just because there's different question types. So knowing how to approach the question type will matter a lot. But for logic games and reading comprehension, it's typically like a problem set, right? So rather than individual bite-sized questions. And so for that, it's much more about just starting from the beginning with that problem. So you could jump into those pretty easily, but I think you're right to note that logical reasoning is one area where you might want to know at least what a stimulus is, what a question stem is before getting into the class. But you could always ask on that if you were confused too, and you'll get clarification on that pretty quickly from somebody. And then you've already gone through the fundamentals section. So I think honestly, you know everything you need to know to dive into any class.
Yeah. I feel like the word stimulus, I kind of like, I know what it is, sort of. I haven't gotten to like a real question like on my own, but like just from that video, like I'm like, okay, these are some familiar words to me. So trying to feel really good. I guess this is just I mean they have like a guideline. I use a multicolored pen. I don't know if I don't think on the I don't know if on the LSAT they would allow this multicolored pen. It usually helps with like, I guess when they were diagramming, like at least in the foundations video, it was helpful to make it different like colors. At least that's like how I take my notes. Is that something that I can use during the test, or you wouldn't like know the answer to that?
I'm pretty sure it's allowed.
Okay.
But I'd rather you email LSAC to ask them directly just in case.
Okay.
They make changes all the time. I can't see them having a problem with it though. And to a proctor, I don't even think a proctor would notice. But I would email just to check.
Okay, yeah.
And if at worst comes to worst, I mean, you could just have a few different pens and make differences that way.
It's good that you guys use this pen for everything. So like you always talked about how you want to incorporate like the test. Well, for the one the test is actually you when the test happens, you want to incorporate the same exact as much as possible like a test day situation, so environment. So that's why if I use the same pen, if I use the same environment. So that's what I'm trying to like get from at least from the videos I see on your Instagram and on
exactly. So no, you're right. That's the mindset behind that question. That would apply to anything really. So yeah, let's say hypothetically you email LSAC and they say no. At least you've now got 5 months to find a different way of doing things and get used to that way. And alternatively, if they say, yes, it's fine, fantastic, then keep doing it.
Yeah, most definitely.
And then also like save their response in case, like, let's say the test day proctor gives you trouble about something. You could say, hey, like, do you mind if I show you LSAC's email to me because they said it was fine? And I don't think they'll have an issue with pens. I'm just speaking more generally in case there was something else like that comes up over the next several months.
And then, so I know, obviously the 3 greatest sections are like the most important, but is the essay by any chance, like, is that something that you review, or is it like lightly, like the essay at the end of the exam? I think
so the writing sample. Yes, the writing sample. Yes, the LSAT writing sample is, you're right, it's not as important as the scored sections, but law schools can look at it, and they sometimes do. I have a couple of workshops in the course on the writing sample specifically. So check them out later. I wouldn't worry for now though. Focus on the scored stuff that matters the most. And
most definitely.
When you're done, I mean, let's say you take the LSAT in mid-August. After you're done with it, take a day or two to take it easy because you deserve it. And then you could watch the writing sample workshops and then knock that out too. It's really not that big a deal though.
And then you also have the personal statement workshops and application, which is down the line, but I hope to apply for, so I guess next cycle that would be so for fall 2022, you have those online on your website and also, correct?
So we've got a whole section of the course just on admissions, and we've got admission sessions every week as well on Wednesday nights. We've got things covering admissions. We have application essay workshops. We have walkthroughs. This week we have something on the diversity statement. We've got a lot of questions on that. How is it different from the personal statement, and who should write one, that sort of thing. The answer, by the way, is that everybody should write one and find a way to talk about what diversity they bring. So I definitely suggest attending that and anything else. But of course, if the LSAT's your focus, that's fine. I mean, you can catch the recordings on admissions later.
All right. I think that's all. Is there any questions for me moving forward?
I would just ask you, come to the classes. That's my question for you.
Yeah.
Please go
Yeah.
is to come to the class. Can you come to the classes? Come to the classes, make full use of them as you're able. I get that you're busy with college too, though, so I wouldn't expect you to attend every single one, but attend, and don't be shy to attend if you haven't covered something as much as you might have liked to yet, because the class is the way for you to cover it more.
Yeah, most definitely. I'll try to attend I'll try to attend once a week. I'll try as many as possible. As those are a good rule of thumb. So
yeah, as many as possible. At least once a week, just to keep you engaged and keep this as something that's an active part of your life. And then don't stress anything, because you can always catch the recordings of everything you miss.
All right. Thank you very much.
Of course, Henry. I'm glad we connected. Keep in touch, and I'll see you in class soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.